Hi, and welcome to Tom's Take. Thanks to my sponsor, Kathleen Whalen of Whalen Financial in LaSalle, for making this weekly multimedia project possible. You know, Mendota has a character all its own, with access to highways and passenger rail. There's a lot of potential there for interesting growth. With a couple of downtown fires last year, unfortunately, there's actually more space to develop once insurance matters are handled and settled. Not that long ago, the city landed a grant that totals about $20,000, including matching funds to plan the community. And with that grant comes the help from the granting organization called Community Heart and Soul out of Vermont to guide the initial community input steps. The city applied for the grant under the auspices of Reimagine Mendota, an existing group dedicated to this particular task. Annie Short is a Mendota native who, like many of us, moved away and eventually returned home to do what she enjoys doing for her hometown. She took on a new role with the city and is a volunteer with Reimagine Mendota. And she and others have been deeply involved in gathering input on the future of Mendota. Now, the typical response rate for something like this, and I know from past experience, 5% at best of the population. As you're going to hear in this interview, Reimagine Mendota got feedback and ideas from 25% of the population across all demographics. That's unheard of. Well, here's part of my chat with Annie Short from this past week in Mendota.
So Reimagine Mendota has been around for a while, and their whole purpose was to find ways to bring events to downtown Mendota. And then last year we had a huge fire. We actually had two of them, and that burned down part of our block of where they were having the fires. But really their goal has been to revitalize Mendota, and especially downtown Mendota. So with the fires, it leaves us these big empty spaces, and so it's an opportunity for us to really decide who do we want to be moving forward. We have empty spaces and can build things. We could use it for different spaces, and so instead of just plopping something there, it was an opportunity to say, what do we really want? And so this grant that we just we received in March, it's the Community Heart and Soul grant. It is a grant that really encourages us to involve everyone, get everyone's input, and then use that information to basically create a community plan moving forward. And so for the last 6 months, we have tried to ask as many people as possible, tried to hit all of our demographics of first of all, what do they like about Mendota? Because there's still amazing things here in Mendota. We have our lake, we have the train, we have a sweet corn festival. We have a lot of things to offer here. So we don't want to lose sight of that. And we want to make sure that we're promoting those things as well. But it's also opportunity to say, what do we really want? So we can make sure that whatever we bring here is something that fits with our values, it fits with what people want. It's something that we can tell investors, hey, when you come here, this is what people want. So if that's what you want to put here, guess what? They're going to shop at your stores, they're going to dine at your restaurants because people have already said this is what they want. So that's where that data has been very helpful for us. We've collected about 25% of our population.
That's a big amount.
It's a big amount because that's not typical in most community
assessments.
What would you
normally see in other communities?
In a lot of communities, you'd see anywhere from maybe 1%, 5% if you're really, really lucky and work really hard. So 25% is really amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing I loved about this is because the focus was trying to involve everyone. It was really making sure that we hit all of our demographics. We have a huge Hispanic population here. So our data, again, we had a huge population of Hispanics give us their input. We even have coloring sheets from our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, so they were able to tell us what they like. We had 8th grade students learn how to interview community residents, and they got that information for us. We had high school students interview high school students. So we have information from young to old. We have from those who make hardly no money to those who make a lot of money, those who have lived here only maybe a year to those who have lived here their whole lives. So we have data from all those demographics, which is really amazing. And there was some themes that came out that everyone still appreciates about Mendota. And that was the really cool thing, is it doesn't matter which age or race or whichever. There are things that we all value, and those are those similarities that came out, that now we will have these value statements that say this is what Mendota is about and this is what we care about.
You're watching an interview with Annie Short with Reimagine Mendota as she discusses the group's recent efforts to begin planning new elements of that city. If you're listening to this on the radio or streaming, you can see the video of this on YouTube at the Starved Rock Media page. If you're getting 25% involvement, that's huge.
Yeah.
And that pretty much ensures that you're going to be getting off on the right start when you do put a plan together.
Well, and it's important too, so when people are like, why are you doing that? We can say, because a lot of people are saying this is important. It's not the 2 people who showed up at the city council meeting because they had time to show up, or it's not the city council members on their own trying to figure this out. It's collectively, we're doing this together. And we've increased our volunteer base for Reimagine Mendota, so we've had about 30 to 40 people consistently at all of our planning meetings. Again, everyone's busy, so not the same people show up all the time. And then just this weekend, we presented all the data. To have over 120 people show up, help us not only look at our value statements to say, is this who we truly are? But the other thing that they did because of this grant, we were able to ask, what do people want from Mendota? So again, almost 1,700 responses of here's what we want from Mendota. And they took this time to really sort through, and we sorted it based on what's the feasibility of doing the project and what's the impact, because there's lots of great ideas out there. There's only so many dollars. There's only so much time, and the city can't be the ones who are doing all of it. So the community really doesn't have to buy into this, because you can want all these things, but there may not be the city budget for it. So are you willing to fundraise for it? Are you willing to put in your time for this? So if they're already there, now they're committed, and we're all bought in together, and we can say this is why we're doing it, because our community values this or we want it.
Tell me, what are the big rocks that came out of this? What are the big themes that your people say they want?
So what they want, well, we do want a coffee shop and a bakery. Those were our 2 biggest businesses. And we laughed, the high school students and middle school wants a Culver's and a Chick-fil-A and those things. So I don't know what's our impact and feasibility of.
I mean, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong. So Chick-fil-A, come here. But then for us, the amphitheater is a big thing of like a band shelter, because we see all the other communities having that, and just being able to see the community come together. So that is number 1. Obviously, revitalizing our downtown, fixing the spaces where the fires are. So there's lots of ideas what to go in those spaces, whether it's restaurants, whether it's shops, or even, again, some more outdoor seating, those kind of things. So those were the big ones. And also our lake. Everyone loves our lake. So more opportunities out at our lake, and having bike paths from downtown to the lake, and bike paths from here to our hospital, which is out on the highway, were some of the big things that came up. These were boards that we had at our last 2 sessions, where we invited the community to come in and not only give feedback on the value statements that we created, but then take all the ideas and try to prioritize those into where do we start. So we had these boards up just to show people like all the things that we have collected. This is also part of the grant requires you to really understand the demographics of who's here. So at every meeting, we do these demographic sheets, and they mark, what is their gender, their age. We have one on their race. We have one on how long they've lived here. So those were those. But then all these other sheets came out of all of our 6 months of collecting information. So like this one says, these were our 3rd through 5th graders who colored these coloring sheets. So like that one says they loved the park. And then these were these little slips that we would hand out and ask people what they thought. So something they liked was the Sweet Corn Festival. We had free swimming pool access this summer, so people really loved that. This was a common thing of I like feeling safe and raising their children here because it is safe. The library is amazing here. I can't say enough about them. And then, again, so we have these other coloring sheets. So as you can see over there, somebody said they loved the soccer field. Some mentioned their favorite restaurants. And they're just really fun to read and see what kids even like. So our goal is sometime this spring we'll pull all the coloring sheets out. We have over 300 of them.
This is great. What I like about Mendota is Trojan pride.
Yep.
I see a lot of that here, don't you?
You do, yes. So it's just fun to it's really fun to see what people like, and it brings back that sense of like, we have a really great community, which we do.
Looks to me like things are off to a solid start in Mendota. I'm personally interested in the effort. I'm involved with the Mendota Museum and Historical Society with 3 locations that stretch across the downtown of Mendota, and I'm very optimistic about the city's future. My thanks to Kathleen Wayland, again, of Wayland Financial of LaSalle, for sponsoring Tom's Take. If you have any ideas or things that you think I should cover, give me a call at the WLPO business line, 815-223-3100, and I'm going to be eager to talk with you about it. And I'll talk to you in the morning.